Hmm. What's up, everybody? We got a packed house. Hi, everyone. I'm Joe from the Joe House Real Estate Group. For some reason, I thought Lauren was going to get started. Lauren, what are we doing today?
We're talking about taking a listing and how it works.
Cool. All right, thanks. I wish I had a dad joke right now. Hey guys, I was gonna break the ice. So guys, what's happening is we're moving into a new market. We're moving into a new economy. Things are changing, and it's awesome, right? Everyone on this call is going to have opportunities that you just didn't have a year ago or 2 years ago or things like that. Is Danielle on this call? My friend Danielle, who's dealing with a closing falling apart right now, God bless her soul, she took a listing yesterday, right? Gabby pinged me 2 days ago about going on a listing appointment, right? Or was that last week? Anyway, what's happening now is we're moving into a balanced market, which is awesome. There's gonna be so many opportunities for everyone. And like I said, man, the balanced market's good, man. We're gonna have control, you guys. And the agents that have systems, models, and tools are going to win. This is just going to we're going to be able to eat everyone's lunch. So my goal is for everyone here to be prepared, right? Be prepared and understand our systems. You have Lauren, right? Lauren has a department that reports to her. Okay. Do you guys understand that? Lauren's I always make the joke, but it's kind of true. It should be like the Lauren Martin Real Estate Group, right? She's in charge or whatever. She's the glue that holds this whole thing together, right? What you're going to learn today is you're going to learn that going to get a listing, there is not more leverage in the real estate business than there is when getting a listing. That's how I built my business. I just ran around. I got to a point where I was running around getting listings. I had 2 buyer's agents and I just didn't work nights or weekends. And I went on 1 to 3 listing appointments a day, Monday through Friday, right? Through that process, and you guys might have heard this, when Gil and I got into business together, I said, let's see if we can get 50 listings with me in California and you in New Jersey and you getting your real estate license 15 minutes ago. Well, we effed around and found out that we could do it, right? And we had the systems, and if we didn't have the systems to do that, we couldn't go that fast. That's pretty impressive, right? To go that fast and take that many listings. So we have systems in place for you guys to take a lot of listings, right? And what you're going to learn today is our agenda for today is I'm going to do a quick recap on how you can prep yourself to go on a listing, right? We are going to encourage everyone here. The Joe Oz Real Estate Group, we're a brokerage disguised as a real estate team. Does that make sense? Right? So we're here to support you. I'm not a team lead that goes out and takes listings and makes you guys sit my open houses and gives you guys the buyer leads that I don't want to deal with. That's not what's happening here, right? We're empowering you to crush, to go and do 2 to 4 deals a month, right? And we have the systems in place to do that, right? So our agenda today is we're going to cover quickly. If you're new, we want to encourage you to go on your listing appointment. We want you to go, right? We also have a program where if you got your license 15 minutes ago and you're scared out of your mind and you're crying because you have a listing appointment, someone will go with you that's experienced. They will be part of the deal. They'll be like a co-agent with you and work it with you, but they will commit to you. And you should use that as a learning experience, right? You shouldn't do it. It shouldn't be like a crutch or a training wheels or something like that. It should be like a learning thing, right? Brokerage will have a mentor program where someone will mentor you for 5 deals and take a percent. That's not what we want you to do, man. We want you to learn from it. So I want to empower you guys to go on your listing appointments. I'm going to give you some training tips and tools to prepare for that, right? And what I want to tell you guys is prepare now, please. Don't be the person who's when it comes time to write an offer, you're in onboarding, your homework on day 3 is to write an offer, submit it to Lauren. We find that people that do that get their first offer accepted. People that don't are scrambling at 9 p.m. and they're calling everybody and they're trying to figure it out. And it's not hard. It's not a hard process, right? So just be prepared, if you're going to go, I don't know, if you're going on a trip to Europe, you're going to Berlin or whatever, you're going to be excited and you're going to get the travel guides and read the blogs and plan some restaurants and some sites, right? We're going to do that. We're not going to land in Germany and be cool, what do we do? Like, we want to make the best of our time on that trip, right? So please, please, please do that, right? There's a saying that says, what is it, Lauren? Your failure to prepare is not your emergency on my part, or what is it? Something like that.
It was close enough.
Yeah.
This came from Jeff Zavatsky. All credit to Captain Jeff Zavatsky in the Florida Keys. Your lack of preparation does not constitute an emergency on my part.
Yes, that's
perfect. Right. And my wife is a nurse. She says that shit constantly. She's a charge nurse. She says that shit constantly to me. I'm sure it feels too much. She's like, Joe. I'm like, where's the blah, 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 blah for our kids? She's like, Joe. She like talks to me like that. That's where my leadership skills come from. Is from Nicole Osachek. So we're gonna go over that. I'm gonna give you guys some tips to prepare on how to go on a listing appointment. I have a secret. It's easy. We've done it all for you. You know. Then we're going to go over our listing logistics and our operations. Lauren's going to go over that, right? And we're going to go from there. So, yeah, Gil's going to pop in and stuff. And like, Lauren runs this thing, right? She controls the Death Star, okay? So she's the leader. She's a leader in this organization. She's validated to talk on all these things. She knows more than all of us. Also, she created the system. Like, the system I gave her when she started was like, okay, she like fixed it and made it awesome, right? And then Gil's a robot cleaner person, and he took 50 listings. By the way, Gil, if you were on onboarding, Gil does this thing, right? Where Gil like shows you like about on day one, our mission, vision, values. And he talks about, he has like this like picture of a house, and he has like two emojis, like a dude that's like his head's on fire, and one where he's like doing yoga. And like Gil's like, this is what we do for our clients. True, whatever. But whenever that slide comes up, I want to tell everyone that listing, Gil, I set an appointment for a listing. I don't even remember where, Bayville or something like that. I was the ISA. I was the caller. I set the appointment for Gil as a listing appointment, cold calling a neighborhood. Gil went on that appointment. I called him that afternoon because we were working so close together. Like Gabby, when we were talking today, like to all the agents that are aligned with me, that's how I worked with Gil in the first 90 days. So I called Gil. I was like, yo, did you get that listing? I swear to God, I'll never forget there's these moments in my life where I don't forget where I was exactly. I was like, did you get that listing? He goes, no, but I got the neighbor's listing. I was like, what? I'm like, what? What the fuck? What? And I pulled the car over. I was driving to Laguna Beach. I pulled over. I was on PCH. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, well, he told me about that appointment and they're not sure if they want to list, blah, 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 blah. He's like, but they're like, yo, the neighbor might want to list their house. And fucking Gil walks out of the house, sees the neighbor like cleaning his boat or something. Gil's like, hey, like the maniac robot. Like he just was like on a mission. Like you program Gil with the goal and he like does it. And he's like, hey, I heard he went into that person's house and left with a signed listing and he didn't have a listing appointment. So, and whatever, I've taken a few listings. So these are the people presenting. If you think there's validation there, those are the people presenting, and we're excited. We want nothing more than for you guys to win, right? So first things first, give me a second. I want to pull something up for everyone. If Lauren or Gil, if you want to fill any dead air, that's totally cool. You don't have to. Should have been prepared with this.
Just for the record, that house would have never closed without Evan Beach on the financing side of that as well. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Yeah, that day was when like, oh shit.
Sailboat house, right, Gil?
What's that?
That was the sailboat house, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Lauren, the YouTube video of my listing presentation, is that in the university or did that not make it in there yet?
It should be in the university, but if not, it'll be in the YouTube channel, but I can add it.
Yeah, add it in there, please. No big deal.
If anybody's looking for a listing, the neighbor of that house actually had intent to sell too. That I just haven't followed up with.
All right, I'm gonna share my screen, jump in here. This is gonna take 5 minutes, and I'm gonna hand it over to Lauren. So guys, in the university, there says listing agent here, right? Hey, Lauren, under listing presentation, that's where that YouTube link should go, please. Guys, if you go to our YouTube channel, everyone can see my screen, right? This says what? Someone tell me what this says.
Listing presentation.
Yeah. If you click this, this is like.
Let me show you one of my favorite
There's
things
going to be a
about
YouTube
Monday.com
ad.
CRM. Instead of
This guy
doing
doesn't even know
this,
that we're already crushing Monday.
you're on me.
I'm not going to play it, but this is basically like we did a mock listing presentation, right? Gil calls this, and he's right. This is real estate 1.0, right? So this is where it started, right? So like how we started, how's it going, whatever. Like this is how it started. I went to Gil and was like, show me what you do, right? Have you ever read Rocket Fuel? There's like a visionary and implementer. Gil's the implementer, right? Gil's like, show me what you do. And I did a listing presentation to Gil. Gil's like, all right, cool. We're going to make it simpler. And this right here, this is the actual listing presentation. So from 2000, whatever, 14, 15 to when I met Gil, this is the listing presentation that I did. And what I did was I went into Motion City Media on my computer, whatever's on my computer, the deck that I showed the client is on the background on the whiteboard, right? So you can see the entire listing presentation as it goes on. And then I talk through my entire listing presentation. That makes sense? Every rebuttal, marketing, what we do, numbers, commission, all that stuff, right? This is Jen Mawson. She's at EXP. She's another realtor. She was just the homeowner, right? I go through comps. I do everything. This is a full listing present. This is where it started, right? Then Gil was like, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. This is a funny story too. I was doing like a prospecting training on Mojo, but the numbers were in California. Woman answered. I set an appointment. I went on it. It was a $3 million listing. I wound up getting the listing, right? And it was in Newport, and I wasn't trying to to quote the great Gil Olson, I wasn't trying to be a realtor, but I don't know. I thought it would be fun, and I went and did it. Partnered up with Jeff Gray, who was like a local agent in the area. We took it, whatever. It was fun. But when I went there, this woman was like so smart. Like when I opened up my computer to do like a PowerPoint presentation, she's like, "You're not going to show me a PowerPoint presentation, are you?" And I was like, no, ma'am. Like like this, like I was very intimidated. $3 million house, Newport. You guys got to understand. I live in I never sold a house in Newport. I was just cold calling, right? This was all new. I just had to use the skills that I had to go into an area I'd never been in and take a $3 million listing and whatever. But with all that being said, Gil pointed out to me like, hey, that's a little archaic. That's a little real estate 1.0. Let's condense it a little bit. And then that's when what we did is if you go under here and you pull up this high note, Gil and Sam and Joe put this together, which is basically, Gil, I'll get to you in 1 second. It's basically this. It's 48 minutes of this condensed into like 5 2-minute videos straight into the point. And I'm going to say one more thing and I'm going to let Gil take over. This right here, if you memorize these videos and you watch this and you understand the flow, you'll be able to do a listing presentation. And also at the worst of it all, if you just open this up and played each video in a row, Sam Marks will do the listing presentation for you at the house. Gil.
Yeah. The original keynote deck that's on the video with Jen that Joe did, that came from when we did the mock one. Joe didn't have anything. He just had like a couple flyers and there was no PowerPoint. He just had his 800 units of experience and had a system that he kind of went through. He did it naturally. Like this is the basic outline of the process. And what I did was just I put a Zoom I recorded it on Zoom, and then I made an outline and made it a structured version. And I made the deck with the intent of giving the deck to other agents specifically so that if you follow that deck and you just actually read the words on the slide verbatim and don't add anything else to it or take anything away from it, and then hit the next button and then read the words on that, and then hit the next button and read the words on the slide, or do exactly what it says on the deck, you will go through the basic outline. It'll be choppy, it'll be rough, it'll be kind of awkward until you do it a bunch of times. And what the goal is so that you can get to the point where you could close the laptop screen and not have to go, you won't have to go through each of the things. It's an hour and 10 minutes long, and you should be able to do an effective listing appointment in 30 to 40 minutes. Like the best can do it in 20 to 40 minutes with all questions and paperwork. What this is everything that might come up. Some people will care a lot about media. Some people will want to talk for a long time or have a lot of rebuttals about price. Some people will want to focus on commission. Some people will ask about your experience or why you're different. What you need to be able to do is be able to speak intelligently and professionally about any one of those topics, and have the sensibility and emotional intelligence / experience to know which of those is important to the type of person that you're talking to and their specific situation based on their goal and what's important to them, and then communicate that effectively. The high note version is broken out in chunks that Joe scripted. So that's kind of like an experienced and Sam delivered it extremely well, polished extremely well, whatever the grammar is there. So if you actually memorize these things and use them as an outline, then you'll be able to internalize it and have a conversation with somebody wherever and be able to speak to the things that are important in your own way, in a natural tone of voice. Until you have it, stick to the script and rote memorization, and that will be enough. That'll work. But that's the evolution of where it came from. That's what it is. And understand that the goal is so that you internalize it. If you want listings, if you want all the leverage and you want to sell a bunch of houses, have time and all those things, it's going to require taking listings. Everybody wants that. Everybody's on that call. You're here because you want listings. You will not get them until you can do that. If you can't do it, the answer is memorize these things verbatim, write them out by hand 100 times until you memorize it. If you can't speak about the things that are in the high note thing or this deck, you're going to have you're going to get beat by somebody who can, is what the answer is. So until you memorize them effectively, your only mission is to memorize those things. You can't have both, or you can't have one without the other unless somebody's giving you a listing. But we say take a listing out of the market or manufacture it out of thin air, the sailboat listing, whatever. It's because I had internalized these things over the months prior to that, and it was prepared to convey and communicate to the person that I was the most intelligent and best representative for their interests. If you memorize these things, you'll be able to do that too. Until you can do that, you're only relying on somebody gifting you a listing from your sphere instead of taking it from the marketplace.
Yeah, Skill Olson, man. Cleaner. Guy's so smart. Cool. All right, guys. Whatever. All right, Lauren, you want to jump in? Operations?
Absolutely. Hello, everybody. All right, I'm going to share my screen really quick. Let's talk about Slack first. So you guys go on the appointment, you get the listing signed. It is amazing news. We all want to celebrate you, but I also need some information for you from you to move quickly. So there is a Slack channel. It was called Listings before. We updated it to Listing Signed. So this is where you're dropping your signed listing. Usually you take a selfie. Here we got a perfect example of Sam looking down at his listing, and you're going to put some information in there for us. You're going to put the address, the listing price, and the client's name. So you'll drop a photo. We'll all celebrate, super stoked. You don't need to tell us to create Monday. You don't need us to tell us to do Slack. This will tell us and prompt us to kick off. That Nora and I will start doing some things when we see this. And then just so you know, there is a listings help Slack channel now. So if you do have questions about an upcoming listing, that's a great place to now drop questions for the team. If you get the listing, you're probably like so excited. You're like, I completely forgot what I'm supposed to do again. What am I doing in the Slack channel? Don't forget that we do pin things in a lot of the Slack channels for your reference. So if we look here, I've got 3 things. I see Gil has the air horn for easy access to celebrate the listing. But here's the information. It says when posting a new listing, please include a celebratory photo, full address, price, the listing date, and number of bedrooms and baths. And then there's a direct link to the listing logistics form, which we'll go over in just a second. So as soon as you drop that in here, that's going to kick off our to-do list. So that's what you have to do in Slack. Let me pull up monday.com, which is our new best friend. So a lot of you are familiar with monday.com, especially if you have a buyer right now in the pipeline, you have a board in monday.com. So I'm going to review all the steps for having a listing with the Joe Oz group and how to know who's responsible for what and how we will communicate with each other throughout the process. This is the template. So just I can make changes as we go along if there's any questions, but this is basically your checklist from getting ready to go live on our listing, and we move to attorney review, under contract, and closing. So there have been some changes. So I do want to go over the listing checklist a little bit. So the first thing is that we will create a Slack channel, and we will create a monday.com board for your transaction and invite you to the Slack channel and to the Monday board. The first thing that we need to do is we need to gather information from you. So the first thing you need to do as the agent, you need to fill out the listing logistics form. And then once it's filled out, you're going to ping me on Slack. The listing logistics form is pinned to the listing sign Slack channel. It's also here in the chat box. As you can see, there's like a word bubble and the number 1. So if you click on that, there's a direct link that brings you to our listing logistics. These are questions that we need you to answer. So that way, when Noor is inputting the listing onto the MLS, she doesn't have to ask you 1,000 questions, and it delays the process, and we're taking up your time or taking up Noor's time. So she relies heavily on this form. So it's really important that you fill this out. If you're going on a listing appointment, I would absolutely suggest taking a look at this before going onto the appointment, so you know to look for these things, and then you don't leave and go, oh my God, I don't remember what kind of roof they had. So you will fill this out. We want to know if someone on the team set the appointment. I need the full address here. Don't just put the street address. We move quickly. There's a lot of copy and pasting, so please do that. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I'm just going to give you a quick overview. Type of home. I need the client's legal name, like what's on the tax record. What's their goal? How we're going to get them to the finish line. What does the seller love most about the home? The reason we ask this question, let's say it's their backyard or their pool. I read this, so when I book Motion City Media, I make sure they capture extra photos of that area that they love, because if they love it, that means that a possible buyer is going to love it. Who my point of contact is, because I will basically be taking over as a point of contact. So that way I can protect you from your phone blowing up all day, every day, and all the small questions can come to me, and I will coordinate things along the line. Just their contact information, all that stuff. So just a bunch of questions. Listing price, we need to know that for the MLS, bedroom, baths, how many rooms in total, basement, just all the questions we need for the MLS. So please do fill that out as soon as you get your listing signed, and then you're going to ping me, hey, Lauren, listing logistics are finished. So I will throw a 15-minute call on your calendar to go over listing logistics, especially if it's your first one, because we want to make sure we gathered all the correct information. Or if something doesn't make sense, I can clarify while we're on the phone. We can take time to go over that during the call. I also want to learn about the client, because I'm going to call them later that day to introduce myself as the point of contact. I need to know if they're excited about this sale, because I don't want to call and there was like a death in the family, and I'm like, oh my God, congratulations, we're so excited to list your home. They're going to hate me. So I need to know if they want me to be short and sweet and direct with them, or are they going to keep me on the phones like some past clients where I have to like time block 30 minutes that they're going to take a lot of time to chit chat. So I just want to learn more about the client, who the personality, their goals, where they're at in the process. So basically this is the checklist as we go down. So there are some changes. I will schedule Motion City Media for you. You do have the opportunity, if the seller's like, hey, I can do it this Friday at 2 o'clock, in the listing logistics has the Motion City Media direct number. And if you happen to book it on the appointment, you can just plug it right in. So that way I know it's already taken care of. If not, if the seller's not quite sure what day, I will coordinate that with them. Gil, I see you have your hand raised.
I was going to give perspective on that at the end when you're done. Listing logistics when you're done with that.
You can go ahead with the listing logistics. It's okay.
Okay, so that form is, you'll notice that there's certain things on there that are required and not required. They're all required information pretty much, but you should be doing this on site. And to role play it, as soon as the listing agreement is signed, you're going to basically set everybody's expectation that like, hey, if it all makes sense together, we'll handle the paperwork so that we can get started, because I'm super excited about representing your property, blah, blah, blah. You get the signature. They're working with you. You're hired. You're in partnership with them. That's great. Awesome. To make the experience extremely smooth for you guys, like I talked about with our systems, I want to get all the information that our director of operations is going to need to make it a 5-star experience for you, or whatever you want to say to make it smooth. I'm going to ask you a series of really boring technical type questions right now, one after another, really rote. So if we can switch into just like very robotic question and answer mode, I'm going to fill out this form so that everything goes really smooth for you. And basically what this is answering all of the logistical questions that any buyer might have about the property, so that removes all the friction of them getting excited about buying the property from our marketing efforts. At the end of the day, they are buying a very expensive asset. Your house is awesome. We want to get as much money as possible. It's going to be a big investment for people. We want them to be comfortable with it. Answering all these questions and having this kind of boring information about who your gas provider is or whatever, that helps them focus on being excited about the house. Okay, cool. I'm going to start now. I've got my form right here. It'll take about maybe 10 minutes. Let's not chit chat in between. I'm just going to go down a list and let me just input the data for our director of operations, and it'll make the process super smooth for you for the whole process of working together. Okay, great. Now you get the information and say, you set the expectation that you're going to be typing and not looking at them and just asking them very robotic questions. And you're framing that in a thing of like, hey, I'm doing something that most people don't, that's in your best interest, and here's why. Then you go through the thing, and you want to be going through this pretty quick. You should familiarize yourself with this form and understand the flow of it and what the questions are, so that you're not reading it for the first time in a listing appointment after you just got them to sign paperwork. It may have taken 45 minutes to get to the point where they want to sign paperwork, or maybe an hour. And now you've got to get this information, because the listing is not real until you get this for our organization. And you want to get all this basic stuff. So budget time in your head to anticipate doing this, right? You can actually use it as something that you are set yourself apart from every other agent. Hey, if any of the other agents or your cousin, actually, did they go through what's in their listing logistics form for their director of operations? No, because they don't have either one of those things. That's the point, right? And you can kind of say, oh, well, let me walk you through how that happens. And that differentiates you from them. And they should understand how this does the thing. So you go through all this stuff, you put it in the form. If you're moving really fast, the required fields, it won't let you fill out the form without the required things. Go through them. And then if you have to go back and do it again when you get to your car, or you get out of the listing, or you get home or whatever, then you can, but try to get as much of this information on the first pass as you can. And the required ones won't let you input anything else otherwise. Okay. That makes sense. That's all I got to say about that.
Great job. Thanks, Gil. I'm going to dive into the list. I'm actually going to stick on the listing logistics, because I just realized there's questions. You're going to be like, well, what's the purpose? How does that help us? So make sure that you have the client's legal name. Don't put like J-O if their name is Joseph. Again, we talked about their goal. I need to know who the key point of contact is. So if it's a couple, who am I speaking to? Who am I talking to about looking at our MLS proof? Who am I talking to about showing? So I need that person's information in here. The seller's information, both of the seller's information and their emails need to be in the CRM, because we're going to use those emails to send listing paperwork that's required. You'll just put your name in here and who's completing the form. And then I just need to know if you did an electronic copy or a hard copy. Typically, it's like the hard copy that you guys drop off in the Slack channel. We may sometimes ask you to take a better photo so we can scan it into SkySlope, into the Slack channel. Listing date. This is really important. If today was Monday and you do this and expect it to go live tomorrow, you are out of your mind, and I'm going to tell you no. I need time. I need time to contact the seller, schedule Motion City Media, because they have to take photos and they need to edit and come back. We have to put in the MLS information. It takes a couple of days to make sure that we do this accurate, and we provide the white glove service to our client. So I don't want to do a rush job. It's not fair to the client. Also, I'm sure your seller will be relieved that they don't have to rush to clean the entire house the next day. So really, ideally, at least a week, at least 7 to 10 days to give us the proper amount of time. You'll put the list price here. If it's a complex or subdivision name, please put it in there. How many bedrooms and baths? How many half baths? Because again, we need this information for the MLS so we don't have to keep bothering you throughout the process. How many rooms are in total? Again, I'm not asking this for my pleasure. This is stuff that we need to input into the MLS. Does it have a basement? If so, what kind? How many livable levels are there? So please make sure you fill it out. There are a lot of required ones, so you can't try to like be lazy and skip things because it forces you to fill out a lot of the questions. Yes, Joe.
Hey, I'm just going to say this came about because I was taking so many listings and I would like write everything down on a piece of paper or whatever to be in my head. And when I went to input the listing, there was something required by the MLS that I just forgot. And every time that happened, I just added it to a checklist, right? Every system is just a checklist. And that's how this is born. So if it's on, and Giselle, the whole point of this is so this just comes over to the operations department and they can go do the things that you don't want to do. You guys got your real estate license to go sell houses. You guys got real estate license to go list houses. You got real estate license to go help people. You didn't get your real estate license to go input listings and do square footages and all that stuff, right? So again, this understanding this operations part is going to help you go really fast. And when you have an operations team that's doing all the stuff for you, someone answer this question. What does that open you up to go and do?
more listings.
Yeah, you got it. All right, Lauren, thank you for letting me butt in there.
No, it's totally fine.
Rent a white Mercedes and put it on your Instagram stories.
Yeah, do more headshots with Lamborghinis.
Please don't. Okay, so real quick, if it's an HOA, these questions are, some of them are not required because if it's not an HOA, but you guys have represented buyers and you know it's really, one of the questions is, what's the HOA fee? How often is it? So that's why I want to be able to provide value to everybody and have these questions answered so we can put it on the MLS and also avoid your phone ringing, my phone ringing, Joe's phone ringing to ask, what's the HOA fee? So make sure you ask this question while you're at the appointment. So is it an HOA? What is the amount? And then how often is that paid? Is it annually, monthly, etc.? HOA contact name and number. This is, if you don't fill this out, it makes our life a little harder because then we have to try to locate it. Your seller most likely has this information. If they do not at the moment, I can connect with them on that intro call and gather it then. Does a client have a copy of the bylaws? It's great if they do. If we can snag a copy and I can send it to a potential buyer, that's fine. But just so you guys know, we as the Joe Oz Group will not pay for the bylaws. That'll be a conversation that's worked out between the attorneys. We do not order bylaws for sellers. That's on them to figure that out between the attorneys. Is there a pool? Need to know this. Is it a waterfront property?
By the way, the bylaws that happened once. The bylaws, like if you own a condominium or a townhouse and you have an HOA, you have a copy of the bylaws. If you lose your copy of the bylaws, you have to purchase them from the HOA. They're going to charge you $200. That's kind of it. That's how that goes. It's not about who pays for it, who doesn't pay for it. If you're buying a house, the seller needs to produce the bylaws for the attorney and the buyer to review, because if they don't allow pets and you have a dog, it's going to be an issue.
Thank you. These things we need to know: heat and AC, heat, fuel, what's the water sewer? Is it public, septic? This is also why it's good to review these questions before you go on the appointment. Now, media. So if the seller's like, hey, I want to list 2 Tuesdays from today, my house is ready, let's do this. I'm available all week, let's book it. Book it. You're right there. The number is right there. You can call Motion City Media, tell them what day they're looking to do, and set up a time. We have it so our sellers provide access to the photographer to come and take photos. I also send like a Motion City Media prep sheet to the seller, because I think as a seller it can be a little overwhelming, because like, where do you stop to get the house ready? So I do talk to the seller like, hey, these are some key things that you should definitely do, like not have the car in the driveway, because that will drive me nuts and it won't look good in the photo. Just getting rid of a lot of the clutter on the counter, stuff like that. So we'll send a tip. Plus, in the listing packets that are available in the office, There's also a copy of our Motion City Media prep sheet in there as well. And there's like a whole handful of them on the shelf in the office. I see some hand raised.
I'm gonna butt in. The reason you should schedule the media right while you're sitting there is it frees up a task from a minute. Lauren can be doing something higher level for that. The real reason you should do it while you're sitting with them at the appointment is it's a further in motion and commitment to you. If I don't even know 50 people, but that are selling houses in a year. But if you're booking the media, it's putting something on this. You have a listing date. They're booking their media. You're moving them down the process and making them actually move instead of getting overwhelmed. And I've got to go through all my family photo albums before I move. It's like, no, the media is coming next Tuesday at 1 p.m. Call the media company in front of them. They'll pick up the phone. That's why we use Motion City Media. You pick up the phone. They have amazing customer service. You book the media at that time. And then you have a date and you schedule it with them. And then you can inform, and you're moving the process down the field. You're one step closer to closing. They are more committed to you and the process, and they're selling their house. They know the media is coming, and now they're focused on cleaning up their house and getting ready. And then you've got to say, hey, this is going to actually be easier than you probably think. This is what you need to do. This is what people perceive they need to do. This is what you actually just need to do. Just take all your magnets off of your fridge and whatever. If you have Giants posters everywhere and you're in North Jersey and everybody's a Jets fan, maybe take down these things that might be a little, cut out half the market. Or if you're a religious zealot about your political candidate, maybe you don't want to advertise that, cut out half the market. If somebody that's blue, yellow, purple, or green is going to pay more for your house, maybe you don't want to offend them. It's your choice. You can do whatever you want. But here's how you prep your media. Do whatever you want. They're coming Monday at 1 o'clock, and we'll be moving on from there. So then you just get it done, have it done, leave them with the prep sheet. Say, hey, just focus on this. Leave the lights on. Do your dishes. That's it. Make your bed. You don't have to dust behind the toilet bowl, and then go from there. But that's the reason that you do it on site right then.
Thanks, Gil. Joe, you had your hand raised.
That was an accident. I meant to do the thumbs up. I was like saying, yay, Gil. But
okay, well, do you want to talk about media at all?
Yeah, are we here? Are we at media? Yeah, guys. All right, cool. So when we're ordering media, this is what Gil said. God, I just follow the system, please. Like, all the pain points that I had are all fixed here. If you believe that Gil took 50 listings in 1 year after not taking a listing ever, if you believe that, like, I know what I'm talking about, please just trust the system. Does that make sense, right? Like, people have come before you and we've made a lot of mistakes, right? All the pain points from years and years and years of not doing it right is right here. Sit there and order the photos, man. You don't have this. If you go in Chicago, if you go anywhere else, you don't have this system. You don't have Motion City Media, who has a 24-hour concierge service or whatever that you can order photos from or whatever. Now, this is what it looks like on the listing appointment, right? So media, on the majority of homes, you do not need more than still photos. I'll say this again. On the majority of homes, you do not need more than still photos. Does that make sense, you guys? Now, Matterport, I'm going to go over a couple of these. Does everyone know what Matterport is? Do this with your hand if you know what it is, just so I know who I'm talking to. Okay. Has anyone ever seen the 3D scans of houses? Raise your hand if you've seen a Matterport. Dude, that's awesome. All right, cool. This is totally going to prove my point. They're worthless. You don't need them, right? They were cool a while ago. They were something really rad to lean on. They were really cool to lean on during COVID when we couldn't go into houses, right? So the Matterport is a 3D scan of a house, right? They're hard and clunky to use. People don't look at them. And the other thing is that's real. You can't leverage them for social media. You know, when you have really cool media, you put it on like your Instagram. Like if you have really great pictures of a house or whatever, we use social media to leverage it. You can't really use it on social media. So we don't really do Matterports. When you're at the listing appointment, we should just need still photos. Does that make sense? We pay for it, whatever. Now, I'm trusting everyone uses their best judgment here. This is very important. So like drone videos. We're at the Jersey Shore. if you can see water from the house, not like there's water across town, right? Like we don't want them to drive a drone like 10 miles away to like the water, but like if it's okay, so like in Bricktown at the end of Drum Point Road, there's all those man-made lagoons where they dredged out the swamplands and they put houses there and all those houses are on water. Those should get a drone video. Does that make sense, right? If you're in Marlboro and the house is on an acre of land, that should probably get a drone video, right? So if a house is under, I don't know, $700,000, $600,000, it probably does not need a drone video, right? If it's a 3-bedroom ranch in Point Pleasant on a conforming lot in just a neighborhood, we don't need a drone video. Does this all make sense, you guys? So it does not need to be ordered. If it's sexy, and really the drone video, it doesn't really sell the house. Like what it does is the client might want it. Actually, that's not true. I think it sells the house. So what we don't want to see is if there is a $500,000 house in brick, it's like a very basic house or whatever. We're just not doing drone videos, right? If you guys have seen, there's another thing here, right? Sam Marks has done this, right? So like we call them lifestyle videos. If you guys look like, actually, I might as well just pull it up and show one, right? So give me 1 second. Where do I find that? Is that in the university? It's probably in a lot of places.
You can find it in the YouTube channel.
I just do like
we can just drop it in Slack.
No, I want to just show it real quick, man. Sam Marks. Lauren, can you help me find it real quick?
Sure.
I'm going to look for it too.
You're looking for life.
While they're looking for it, I'll offer my perspective on it. I believe fundamentally that the vast majority, not even just like most homes, the vast majority of homes do not require anything beyond still professionally done still photos, interior and exterior. Full stop. Everything else can be helpful to sell you and the fact that they should work with you to secure the listing. But I don't believe that the media sells the house.
Yeah,
or gets all that much exposure. I've seen it done both ways. I've seen the results and the data. I believe that it does it can instill confidence. It can be a crutch to help instill confidence in the seller so that they will work with you. But it is not necessary to actually sell the house in the client's best interest of maximizing the value of the property. I don't think that there's more money made with any of this stuff, any video whatsoever, or especially 3D walkthroughs. I actually looked at a house for myself last night where I went to the 3D walkthrough and it looked worse than the still photos.
It's so true.
And that is more often the case. I was less interested in the house once I did the 3D walkthrough. And I was able to figure out, this is a really important point. Because of the 3D walkthrough, I was able to decipher the layout and disqualify going to the house and seeing it and doing a showing without going to it. So you're actually not going to have people in the house where you have a chance to call the agent for feedback or get them to write an offer. You actually want them to be in the physical house where they'll get more attached to it. I'd be more likely to buy this house I looked at last night if I walked through the door of it. I don't have to walk through the door of it now because I disqualified it because of the 3D tour.
Dude, I'm so glad you said that, Gil. Like I took the first Matterport I ever did. No one was doing them. And it was a huge house, like $1 million house in Colts Neck. But it was like, you know, those houses that are like stuck in like it was like Back to the Future, dude. It was just stuck in the 70s, man. Like everything needed updated. And it was a big house. And I did a 3D scan. And I remember looking, I had so many clicks on this 3D scan and nobody was going to look at the house. And I started calling other realtors being like, why isn't my house? Like, why is no one going to look at my house? They're like, oh, dude, it's outdated. It sucks. No one's going to go. They're doing the walkthroughs. No one's going to go there. And like, everyone knows that like purchasing a home is an residential real estate is an emotional experience. Like everyone who's ever bought a house or been with a client who bought a house and has been working closely, when you walk through it, like who knows this feeling when you walk through a house, you're like this, you like know right away. You're like, That's the thing. We don't have to sell houses. We just got to bring people to houses and help them find the opportunity. Like every house I've ever bought, I was like, oh my God, this is the one. Holy shit. So yeah.
Think about the opportunity that you, if this is another really important point. If you're a buyer agent and you're taking a Flex connection or Opcity connection, Ojo, some random person, and you want it, you need the opportunity to establish a relationship with the people and get a feel for what they're talking about and guide the buyer. Think about the buyer agent's perspective. The buyer agent needs the opportunity to be in the house and talk about it and kind of help the people navigate the idea of like, hey, well, this might be the cost of doing an attic level on this property. Can you see over here how you might be able to add space over the garage? You need a second living space. There's space over the garage to put a separate spot there. You can have that conversation if they're standing on the corner and they can show them and walk around it in the site and get emotionally attached to the place and visualize it while they're there and establishing rapport with the buyer agent, expressing their goals, their resistance points. A house is going to sell. That opportunity happens on the property with another human being who knows what their goal is and is guiding them towards a transaction and their goals. That can't happen if they're thumbing it left and right and swiping it like Tinder on their phone from a 3D tour.
Thank you, Sam. Thanks, Gil. That was really good. Can you guys see my screen of YouTube? Someone say yes. I can't see you guys.
Right before Joe hits play, the last thought that I would say is on the listing side, if I'm at a listing appointment and they're like, well, I want a 3D, I saw my neighbor had a 3D tour. I would explain that process of, hey, this is why I would actually recommend that those things actually can be counterproductive to your sale and net you less money because X, Y, and Z. And if you're able to articulate that to the seller, they'll be like, yeah, I don't want that. I don't want that. That does make sense. This isn't about trying to save money on the media. If it's appropriate, we do it. But on the vast majority of the scenario, with this level of experience, that's what we see happening in the data and the reality of the situation. So understanding that at a high level is the most valuable thing in your client's best interest. That's what it's about.
Thanks, Gil. Can everyone see my screen? I didn't see.
Yes.
Roll the beautiful bean footage.
Okay, cool. So this is what we call a lifestyle. This is a lifestyle video or whatever, right? By the way, I recommend this, right? The Joe Oz group, we're different, right? So like, I can't stand the videos where it's like, where the people are opening the door and they're like, welcome. Like, this is, hey, I'm Joe Oz. And today we're going to check out blah, blah, blah. Like, it's so stupid, right? Right. So like when I say lifestyle video, like we did one, Sam nailed this. Sam has like a production background. Sam's like good at everything. Sam's like really talented person, like in everything he does. So like this came out perfectly. It was a house in Asbury Park. It had surf culture. We knew the seller, like everything kind of aligned. Like he let us do whatever we want, like trusted us. This person's done like several transactions within our organization and was like, we're like, hey, we're going to do this. And I like gave it to Sam and we tried it. It came out great. The goal for this lifestyle video, it's more about branding of the agent and their social media than it is selling the house. The seller is stoked. Trust me, seller is fired up, but this is what's going to catch your eye of your friends and your family, your sphere of influence, and everyone around the neighborhood. Like this is where it's like, whoa, you're doing something different. Real estate is corny and nerdy, and everyone knows that. And no one thinks it's awesome. When you do something different, people are like, whoa, and it stands out incredibly. The feedback that we got from this was bonkers. The point I'm trying to get at was this is a marketing tool. So you leverage. Gary Keller teaches listings leverage leads, right? There's lots of leverage in a listing. You can leverage it to market it and market yourself, right? So that's what this video does, right? So I'm going to play it. It's beautiful. And then I'm going to talk a little bit more about it. you guys think about that?
That was great. And it was all done with stills, right?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I have no clue. But no, that was there was a video. So it was like a 90-minute video shoot at the property. Now let me ask you guys this: what does Sam Marks' friends and family and all his social media followers, what do they think about Sam Marks after they see that video?
He's a professional.
Yeah, they're like, holy shit. Did I watch that video? I was like, holy shit. Dude, just for fun, I'm going to show you guys. Do you guys want to see the Real Estate 1.0 version of this?
Oh.
Wait, can you guys see my screen? The Wemrock Drive? Someone say yes? Yeah.
Yes.
You hear the music? It's so bad.
Hi, I'm Joe Oz with the Joe Oz Real Estate Group at Keller Williams.
Yeah, don't do this.
To give you a preview of our newest listing.
Don't do it.
Located at 2 Wemrock Drive
don't do it.
in the
Don't.
Wayside section
Don't do it.
of New Jersey. This colonial features 4-bedroom.
Okay, you guys get the idea, right? I'm gonna stop embarrassing myself. I hope you guys got a kick out of that. Don't fucking do that. Don't fucking do that. Please don't do that. I would fight that dude, right? So like, do you guys get the difference? Now, I'm gonna bring this all together, right? Oh my God, it's on our YouTube channel if you want to like destroy my life. So anyway, I'm so embarrassed. I can't believe it. So anyway, if you guys want to do one of those, you guys got to pay for it. Motion City Media will do it. It's more for you than it is for the seller or for the Joe Oz Group or anything like that. They run about $350, $400. And if you want to invest that into your social media and into your career, it's better than paying for some postcards or putting your face on the diner mat at Frank's Deli in Asbury Park. You know, like I got a phone call today, like, would you like to advertise on the hand sanitizer at CVS? I'm like, no, hell no. So I see the value in that. We all see the value in that. That's for your brand and to promote you. That was about, you guys get all that? Does that make sense? Right? So like, this training was sick. I don't care what anyone says. We kind of just like cracked we're like maybe halfway through this training. We didn't realize it was going to be, we really had to dive deep into this. So like what we're going to do is we're just going to do part 2 next week. Right. And we're going to take everybody through this. So we're going to take it slow because who got value out of this training? Who got some like, anybody want to like maybe come back or whatever. So like, if you guys got some value out of this, we're going to continue next week, maybe even the week after, right? We're going to dive into this stuff. And that's kind of it. I want to respect.
Yo, I would just like turn this into an action item. We're going to finish on time. We got 3 minutes. The last 2 minutes, I'm going to rant and just say, yo, go get a listing agreement. How did I take 50 listings? I went to the MLS and I got a manila envelope. I said, give me 50 listing agreements. That was my goal. I wanted to take 50 listings. So I went to the MLS and got 50 pieces of paper. And then I went out and got signatures on all of them. And that's all you really have to do. It's that simple. When I was in real estate school, I kind of got that idea from the teacher. I'll give her props. Her name was Ro. She told me about her when she first got a license. She was just like, hey, she came back with a signed listing and the broker was like, how did you do that? And she was like, I went to the filing cabinet. I saw the listing agreement. I read it. I understood it. I went and found somebody that needed to sell their house and I got them to sign it. I got them to trust me and they signed it. And now I have a listing. And that's really as simple as it is. New licensees tend to overthink it, over glamorize it, think that it's impossible and I can't do it without a bow tie or selling 100 houses. And that's not the case. All it is a person and a piece of paper and a piece of property. And you get the owner of the property to understand you, that you're not an idiot. You have a discussion with them. We give you the script, memorize it, get a piece of paper and get their autograph on it. Get them to look you in the eye and say, hey, do you think I'm the person to help you do this and understand the process? If you memorize those scripts, they should be able to say yes. And you say, hey, let's figure out this paperwork. And then I will go through our listing logistics form and you will look and actually be a professional. So I would challenge you. I dare you. I defy you to go and get a listing. If you've never, go from 0 to 1 before next Thursday at noon. I dare you to go and do it. There's a bunch of people out there that are scared and need to sell their house now because the market has shifted and the market's still hot. I dare somebody on this training to go and get a signature and form that relationship and get a listing before next Thursday at noon. You have 7 days, minus 1 hour.
You won't. That's what my sister used to say to me. You won't.
Zero to one.
That's time. Hope that was valuable. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.